$20 says my game crashes as soon as I click into it. Yeah! Happens every freaking time. I love it. Now, the main question is my face cam gonna freeze again? I can see it. Hopefully OBS isn't having problems again. I know last episode, we had some freezing problems that had to work themselves out before we got into the actual game. But it's, on my end, it looks fine. But I don't know what it looks like on your guys' end. But anyway, black screen, wait for the game. Thank you, we're playing DDLC again. We're playing Lost Ascension again, and we're getting very, very close to the weekend. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. I really don't know what's gonna happen. I do, like I said last video, I have a really strange feeling that something different's gonna happen when Sayori expresses her depression to MC. I don't know if it's gonna be because she's gonna fib something about it, or she's just gonna do something along the lines of completely change up the story, but something different is gonna happen. I just know it. And if I'm wrong, please, don't tell me, because I don't want to know that I'm wrong until it actually happens. So, I don't know if we're gonna get to that part today. I know that, like, we just went through Friday, but I don't know if we're gonna get anywhere past, like, because we've been occasionally doing, like, one-day episodes, where we do, like, the entire day of the week, and if that's the case for Sunday, wait, now that I think about it, Sayori, we discussed Sayori's depression and stuff before Sunday. I wonder if they're gonna include Saturday. That's my main concern. I know we left off in, like, the darkness last time, because because I decided that this was a good spot to leave off, and it is, because now we can just come back to, by Monica. I shuffled slightly, wrapping my arms tightly around I know it's not what she probably actually sounded like, but you know what? I like to have fun, so screw it. I shuffled slightly, wrapping my arms tightly around the pillow I was attached to. I love weekends, so do I. They're very, very quiet, and they're very, very, very busy. I said it quietly, my eyes semi-opening to look up at a window. A small beam of light was dancing in the air. I love them too, Mr. Cow. Oh my god, I love that Sayori actually, like, physically thinks that Mr. Cow, unless she's just dreaming still, and they found a way to work that into her dream, I don't know. My pillow tightens its grip on me. That's weird. My pillow tightens its grip on me. I love how you had to reassure that sentence. Huh? Oh, it is, okay, so Sayori thought that Monica was Mr. Cow, so, yeah, she technically probably was dreaming, but she didn't know that she was clinging onto Monica. I woke up a bit more, finally noticing the girl hugging my friend. By the way, I'm very tired. I woke up about a little less than 2 hours ago, so if I feel groggy, that's why. If I'm wiping my eyes, that's why. If I had to get up and blow my nose because the morning hates me, that's why. Just a heads up, and if my voice just sounds really tired in general, if I'm, like, very deep sounding and nasally sounding, that's why. So, let's continue, shall we? I woke up a bit more, finally noticing the girl hugging my front. My smile broke through my non-caffeinated, caffeinated? Is that actually a word? I've never heard, caffeine be used in that terminology. Facial expression. Huh? Oh, huh. I felt a warmth everywhere. I looked behind me and noticed that Natsuki had fallen asleep with her head on my back. That's adorable. Yuri resting, with her body up against mine as well. Well, that's one way a club spends its time together. I laughed a little at myself as I snugged back onto Sayori, not really noticing Yuri and Natsuki's current. Oh, wait. I looked back at them, and my smile only getting bigger as I came to. Yuri was partially on Natsuki's lap, my smile morphing into more of a smirk. I'll get them later for that, that's funny. I sighed audibly as I finally settled back into a comfy position, smiling to myself. Monica? I opened one of my eyes again, and there was Sayori, looking at me with a tired expression. Hi. I smiled a little wider. Hi. She tightened the hug again, her eyes closing. Is everyone still sleepy? I let out a muffled in response. Her eyes opened again rather quickly. Is it late? I really don't want to waste today with just sleep. I laughed a little, doing my best to maintain my volume. Not wanting to sleep? Coming from you? I sighed, trying to sit up a little, but to no avail against Sayori's iron grip of hugs and friendship. I agree, Sayori, but I really, can't get up. Sayori let me go to my displeasure. Please come back. My mind thought it before I could stop her, my arms hanging loosely. Oh, she said I quickly, even eyeing the pair sitting behind me, try not to giggle so much. So she gets it too. My God, she smiled. Well, I guess you can't move then. I'll go make us breakfast. Excuse me. I reached up and grabbed her arm. Wait, I whispered, freezing up momentarily. My lips closed tightly as she looked down at me with an innocent gaze. What's wrong? I smiled. Can I help you? You aren't that good of a cook, are you? Didn't you nearly try to burn your house down, or nearly burn your house? Not try to, but nearly burn your house down? Maybe you should have a little bit of help. She seemed a little annoyed, but she nodded. It is true. I'm not very good at that. I sighed as she got up. Try to get out. If you can't, it'll be fine. I looked back at the other two whom were sleeping peacefully, my thoughts swarming with ideas. Sayori had already went to the kitchen, pulling out the eggs and toast. How do I do this? I slowly scooted my way out of the from the trap of two bodies, Yuri settling onto Natsuki's lap. Natsuki's head slipped down onto the couch cushion, and she let out a soft mumble of content. Phew. I stood up and stretched, popping my neck a little as I watched the pair doze on the couch. That was nice. I walked over towards the kitchen, the smell of eggs cooking and toasting catching my attention. Wow, and if I can't read, that's why. Everything going well, Chef Sayori? Sayori looked at me with a cracked egg on her shirt. Yes, things seem to be going very fine. I think that's a self-answering question. Yes? I laughed as I wiped it off her with a paper towel, her attention going back to the pan that had a singular egg cooking in it. Yeah, because the other egg got onto her shirt. This stuff is hard. Natsuki makes it look so simple. I nodded in agreement. How are you setting the kitchen up to cook anyways? She quietly explained everything to me as I scurried around, doing my best to help her get the breakfast ready. Oh my jeez, this is already off to a great start. We're 7 minutes in and we've already had an egg fall in Sayori's shirt. This is how you know it's gonna be a great episode. And yeah, I do this is Saturday. So we're probably gonna do Saturday this episode and Sunday next episode. And Sunday is gonna be where we hang out, or where Yuri hangs out with MC. And I don't know what's gonna happen Monday, but Monday is probably gonna be its own episode too. And who knows what's after Monday, because I have no idea where this mod ends. Not that I'm not having fun, but every mod ends somewhere, so I'm curious as to if it's gonna go a whole nother freaking week and a half, or if it's gonna stop on Monday with like a either bad or a good ending, whatever it decides to be. God, who's cooking? I said it a little loud, stretching as I looked behind me. Sayori and Monica were wildly rushing around the kitchen, attempting breakfast a second time. Sheesh, I can hear you two throwing things around back there. Neither of them responded, only a quiet whisper picking up as they looked back at me. I'll be there in a sec. I noticed a large woman across my lap, or rather just her head. Second? I didn't know what to do. She fell asleep on me? I swallowed once I looked around, trying to figure out what to do. Monica? I looked back at they're laughing. They're laughing at them, that's why. I looked back at the two, they started to laugh. What's so funny? Can't you help me out? She looked back at me. I'll bring your food to you. Yuri will wake up then, I promise. I opened my mouth to say something in protest, but I gave up after a moment of thought. I don't want to be too loud anyways. She had a hard week. I looked down at Yuri, putting my hand on her head. Sheesh, you're gonna get me in trouble. Even worse, made fun of. I chuckled as I leaned back, basking in the fact that Yuri had chosen me for this. A quick glance on at the TV confirmed my suspicions. You know, she's smiling, and I don't know if that's supposed to be, like, that she's awake and can hear all this, but... I mean, obviously this is Natsuki's thoughts, but, like, just the fact that she's smiling makes me think that maybe she's not so asleep after all. It had been turned off after we finished playing the game last night. I did not expect Yuri to be the one to challenge me that well. Here you are. Sayori came around the couch, holding out a plate with eggs and toast. I looked at it and smiled. Did you make this? Sayori nodded as I took the plate. Nice. This looks really good. Thank you. She smiled as she placed another plate next to me. A subtle laugh coming from her. Good luck with that. She stood up straight and went back into the kitchen. I looked down at Yuri and humphed. I need luck. I gently shook her with my leg, Yuri's lips tightening up in response. No, I'm enjoying my... She's totally awake. No, I'm enjoying my rest, I smirked. Yeah, well, your head in my lap tells me you're loving it. Oh, and that's when she realizes. Yuri's eyes opened. She blinked a few times before staring up at me. Lap? Head? She turned her head a little and finally realized where she was. She shot up, her face taking on a shade of bright red. I'm so sorry. She looked away from me, a burst of laughter picking up from the kitchen. I love that. It's all right, Yuri. I gave my best glare to the two in the kitchen. They've learned their lesson, quieting down quickly. Really, we stayed up super late last night. We were all snuggled up on the couch anyways. Yuri's face became an even darker shade of red. Okay, sorry. Here. Sayori made us breakfast. I held out a plate to her. She looked at it and took it without a word. Thank you, Sayori. She said it just loud enough for the parrot in the kitchen to hear. Sayori smiled brightly at us, a piece of toast hanging on her teeth. That's funny. Sayori, come on, you gotta stop that. Monica tried to sound like Yuri, but failed miserably. Stop what? She slowly transferred the bread into her mouth, Monica sighing audibly. Yuri? I said it softly, Yuri poking at her food nervously. Yes, Natsuki? She said it with a hushed tone, as if someone was spying on us. No, why would you have that feeling? It's not like people are watching from the background of the kitchen and laughing at you. She seemed to have calmed once more, however she was unable to meet my gaze. You rock at fighting games. She froze up, her body stiffening up before glancing at me. I didn't do that well. I shook my head. Yeah, you did. You nearly beat me several times. Yuri smiled as she thought about last night. Oh yeah, didn't we play Smash Brothers or something? Smash Bros, Smash Brother, I don't know. We played Ultimate, I think it was. I think it was Smash Ultimate, and I think we all had a little piece of that. I don't think it was just Natsuki a year. Maybe it was. Maybe, I don't know. I don't remember everything from last episode, but I do remember that things, I remember the Neko part of it, and I don't know why out of anything I remember that part, but screw it! I did, and it was fun. You got really worked up over it too. I laughed in spite of the annoying comment that she made. Yeah, well, I've never faced someone so good before. Yuri looked at me finally, the slight nervous tension gone. Maybe I'll beat you with enough practice. I puffed my cheeks. In your dreams? Yuri giggled as we relaxed, enjoying the simple meal Sayori made us. Alright, you two. Sayori and I talked. We've got enough time to head out into the forest, clearing and enjoy our days outdoors. Wow, did I read that? I don't think I read that right at all. The forest clearing. That's all like one kind of phrase. And enjoy the day outdoors. Okay. I looked back at Monica, who wasn't even looking at us. She was putting things in the sink. Do we have to? I kind of want to stay home today. Out of any, didn't we agree on this last episode? Didn't we say we were all into this? I don't know. Even though I totally said it jokingly, but Yuri shook her head. Okay, don't you dare become a neat Natsuki, or I'll have to up the punishments. I laughed at the thought of Yuri swatting me for wanting to stay inside, yet Yuri remained serious. Yes, we're gonna go, Natsuki. Yuri wanted to go, and we all agreed to it. Yes, yeah. See, that's what I thought. I rolled my eyes as I stood up. I wiped up some egg yolk with the last piece of my toast and shoved it into my mouth. Let's get going then. I went over to the sink and plopped the dishes in there, Monica giving me the slightly annoyed look. Why? You're doing dishes tonight. Oh god. But this is Sayori's house. Shouldn't she be doing dishes? I mean, then again, can you trust her with doing dishes? I smirked as I walked off, Yuri doing what I did, but with a more gentle expression. Yuri and Monica exchanged a simple smile, seemingly happy with each other. Thank God. But why is Monica so serious all of a sudden? What made her so serious? I ended up in the bathroom after the thought left me, smirking at myself for a moment. Then I finally got out of my sleeping clothes and changed into something more fit for being outside. Cool. Hey, come on, let's get a move on. Sayori said it loudly, her cheer obvious as she got to the front door. Alright, sheesh. Natsuki came out of the bathroom, her smile almost as obvious. Didn't think the lazy sleeper would be the most excited to get on the road. I'll be right back, guys. Sayori smiled brightly. Well, it's something that we're doing together. Can I really be blamed for my excitement? Natsuki rolled her. She has a point. Natsuki rolled her eyes once, her smile still apparent. Yuri came out from a different room of the house, still wearing her sweater. I'm ready. That sounds like SpongeBob. I don't know why it sounded like that. I glanced down at her arm, but she didn't seem to notice as we moved over to the door. Dressed warmly again, Yuri? Yuri nodded. Yeah, what's with her wearing that sweater all the time? Like, it's like, if you think about it, like, when's summer in this game? Like, I really don't know. Maybe she's just a really cold-blooded person. I'm just joking. Yes, I'm always a bit cold after all. Natsuki shrugged. Sayori did not pay any mind to the scenario unfolding in front of her as she went out the door. Yes. Oh, there's her starry eye. You can't see it because my face gives away yet again, but hey, she's got starry eyes. Just believe me on that one. She kept repeating, my leg will not stop itching. I hate it so much. She kept repeating to herself as we went out to the door. She's really excited to get out. This is very bizarre. However, her excitement was short-lived as she got to her gate. Her attention directed at the quiet house next to her. Oh, MC? Devin, technically, rather than one that belonged to him. I wish they'd keep bolding the him, because it was fun reading him, because I used to do that all the time, but back when it was always bolded. But now it's just no longer, now they just don't bold it anymore. It's kind of, it's sad. She sighed to herself as we approached, turning and looking at us. For one terrible moment, her gaze lost all of its joy. It was replaced with something empty, maybe even manic. Manic? I don't know. Let's be quick, okay? I don't want to be near his house for too long. I nodded as we moved out of her yard and began trekking our way down the road. It's not like he can really do anything anyway, because in his point of view, this day does not exist to him. Like, it jumps from Friday to Sunday when Yuri helps him out. So I don't think anything to worry. I think he's probably just standing in his room, you know, all dark-eyed or whatever, waiting for Sunday to happen. Okay, cool. The four of us walking in a cluster. His yard looks surprisingly well taken care of. Then again, everything does. Yuri commented on quietly, our conversations coming to a slight halt as we passed by. Without warning, I felt something wrap onto my arm. I looked to my side. Sayori was holding onto my arm, and I couldn't help but flash a grin. You scared? She pouted a little, her eyes still lacking that Sayori charm. No, I'm just worried he's gonna randomly appear. Why? He's not in the game right now. I laughed. He won't, I promise. He isn't even yeah, thank you. He isn't even existent today. That's what I was trying to make as a point. Natsuki took notice of us and grinned. I could just tell by looking into her eyes that she was about to make some snarky remark. I frowned in return. Look at these two, Yuri. Now they're holding each other real close. I let out a guttural, wow, that's a new word I've never heard of. Groan. Natsuki chuckling as Yuri looked at us. Wow, DDLC is really helping me learn new words that I still don't know the meanings to. She smiled at me, the two of us sharing a moment of peace again. It's a lovely day, Monica, but I've always wondered, does it ever rain or snow? I shook my head, and Yuri nodded a little at my response, looking more downcast than before. Well, not naturally, at least. I can make it snow or rain, though. Yuri's eyes brightened up, her slight disappointment quickly fading. Really? You can make it snow? She seemed to go deep into thought, Natsuki appearing to exhibit a similar expression to Yuri. Maybe after all this is said and done, we can have a snow day or something. Just a day to mess around with the white stuff. So Yuri let me go, and we had passed his house by now. Yes, or yeah, I'd love to make a snowman or a snow angel. Yuri giggled. Wow, I can't read. That would be fun, I imagine, but I'd prefer to stay inside and enjoy tea rather than go out and play in the snow. Oh, come on, Yuri, you party pooper. I nodded in agreement. Looking out over the snow sounds much more pleasant. No, Monica, you're not supposed to take her side. Now it's a 50-50. But it would be better with a nice cup of coffee. Okay, you've deemed back a little bit of my respect, because I love coffee. Sayori and Natsuki had pushed ahead of us. The two of them were heavy in discussion, the occasional words fluttering back to us from their conversation. Monica. I looked over at Yuri, who was watching the two of them talk in front of us. Thank you for indulging in this trip for me. I've wanted to see if the woods were fully coated for a while now. I nodded with a smile in response. You're welcome, Yuri. The two of us went silent again as the pair in front of us pointed things out. Houses that seemed incomplete, or bits of code that were floating for no reason other than to exist. You make it seem like this game was incomplete. Like, I get that you only that's only kind of coded what's actually in the game and stuff, but like bits of code floating around, that doesn't make sense if because like that sounds like that's something in the game they were working on but just never finished, but then still release it as a full game. That doesn't make sense to me. So why would there be bits of code floating around? I can understand unfinished looking things, but bits of code floating around just does not seem like anything that would actually be possible. We eventually reached the entrance to the woods, which seemed oddly untouched. Well, I must admit, I didn't think they were too developed. Yuri said it quietly. I looked into the tree's line of code, trying to find anything that appeared broken. Everything seems normal, Monica. Sayori said it loudly, looking back at the two of us. That's very strange. Very. Yuri walked towards Natsuki and Sayori. I followed suit before looking at the trees closely. I don't recognize the script. It's different. Is this when she finds out it's a mod? I said it plainly as I put a hand on the trunk. The bark felt real, which was definitely not expected. This calls for something exploring later, doesn't it? Natsuki came over to me, touching the tree as well. I nodded in agreement as we let go. Well, let's find a clearing and enjoy our day off with some poetry and Sayori stopped talking as her eyes widened. We didn't bring any food! Of course, you always have food on the mind, Sayori. She slapped her own forehead. Gosh darn it, why didn't I think of that? Of course, yeah, actually surprisingly, why didn't you think of food? Because every other time you're thinking of food, oh no, you're tearing up. That's not, I shouldn't be attacking her when she's tearing up. I'm sorry, Sayori. Yuri giggled. Have you forgotten that we can code things in whenever? Natsuki, how does that taste? How does my phone's in my pocket and it's like rubbing up against a chair and I need to take it out immediately. How does that work? Like how does that taste? Like does it just taste like cardboard or something when you spawn in a piece of food? That's kind of weird to me. Like I imagine being able to code in any food you want, but it tastes like nothing. Like that's what my question is. Does it taste like the actual food? Like how does that work? Natsuki crossed her arms, giving a nice little harumph. It isn't as nice as the homemade stuff. That's true. Exactly my point. Making things might have a bit more taste. She sighed. But yeah, we can code in and stuff. I don't want to go all the way back just to make a picnic. Sayori smiled brightly. I love that idea. We can totally do that. She didn't seem bothered at all by the aspect of coding in the food as she walked into the woods aimlessly. I cannot read, I'm sorry. Wait, Sayori. I followed her in, the footsteps of the others joining mine soon after. This is the part where they play a game of tag and hide and seek and they get lost in the forest forever. I'm just kidding. Wait, Sayori! Look, I looked back, Monica catching up to me along with the other two. What's wrong? She smiled as she shook her head. My nose is starting to be stupid again, I'm sorry. You can't run off into an area like this without us, okay? This place doesn't have any normal code. I looked around, she got a point. I looked around at the trees, finally noticing how unusual they looked. Huh? Well, I didn't think that's any threat, really. Plus, I have you guys to keep me safe. I said it plainly. Monica looked at me a bit surprised for a moment before smiling. That's true. Plus, our biggest concern isn't even out here. That is also true. I felt my heart sour up a little. Yeah, good thing he isn't out here, or he'd be in for it. Can I still do him or he? Because like they're not bolding anymore, but I miss doing that. Natsuki said it with a scoff, her smirk obvious. He's a real piece of work. Yuri didn't say anything. She was looking up at the tops of the trees, the light gently piercing through the leaves. It's nice out here. She said it softly as I started to gaze up with her. Monica and Natsuki watched us silently, the two of them looking up as well after a moment. It's a quiet place, perfect for tea and reading. She looked back down at us, the rest of us smiling at her. Thank you again, Monica, and the rest of you for agreeing to this. Natsuki grinned. Well, duh, I mean, you deserve a day to be able to do what you please, right? Considering you had to deal with him personally all week, I'm just happy you want to spend it with us. The sour feeling in my stomach remained as we started to walk in deeper. Oh, there's like a little nice pond over here. I've seen this background before. I don't remember where I saw it, but I remember there being like Natsuki, and I think, you know what, I think it was one of the mods that are a part of that mod that's like a mixture of like all like an after story of all the other mods the creators made. But I remember like Natsuki and some other boy being in that. And this is the background that they use, and I remember it from that. I don't remember what it's called. Eventually, a small clearing appeared near us as we slowed down. Over there seems good enough for us. Natsuki said it cheerfully as she made her way over. The feeling finally going away as I followed her hurriedly, not really wanting to be in the woods anymore. I am curious, Yuri murmured as we all got out into the field. She leaned down and grabbed some grass, lifting it up and letting it float away in the gentle breeze. This place is calm, just as I hoped. Yuri walked further out into the field, Natsuki looking at us and shrugging as she followed her. Yuri stopped and looked at Monica with a faint smile. Is this spot good? Monica seemed a little surprised. Well, sure, I can code in the blanket. Yuri shook her head. You've treated me enough, Monica. Let me attempt to do this myself. She brought up her command prompt, the three of us watching as she concentrated. It's easy if I just get asset blanket red. She typed in something and a plain red blanket appeared in front of us, plopping onto the ground. Ha! She said it cheerfully as she leaned down a bit, unfolding the blanket. Here, let me help. Natsuki came over and helped her unfold it before she grinned. Alright, let's see. Natsuki whipped out her command prompt, a smirk displayed clearly across her face. Let me guess. Either sandwiches or cupcakes. Sandwiches? Okay, sandwiches 1. Drinks. Okay, she trailed off as she typed in several things into her command prompt before finishing up. A full-blown picnic materializing in front of us. Oh right, I almost forgot the most important part. Cookies. I was very... Wow. If I had said cookies instead of cupcakes, that would have been amazing. She typed in one more thing, a plate of cookies popping into existence. Probably because of Sayori. The sensation in my stomach morphed from dread to hunger as I eyed the now decked out blanket. Wow, that's a lot of food! I took a step towards the blanket, Natsuki putting herself in front of me. Hey, I'll let you eat only if you promise not to eat all the cookies, I pouted. How did she know? Of course she knows, you're always the cookie eater. How'd you know my plan? Natsuki grinned as she crossed her arms, trying to make herself look bigger. Because knowing you, you'll do anything for a bunch of cookies, especially when they're free. I looked away from her, Monica stifling a laugh. Don't you trust her, Natsuki? Monica passed by her, Natsuki finally laughing. I do, I'm just making sure she doesn't eat everything and passes out before we write poems. I rolled my eyes as I went past her, sitting down as Yuri joined us. The four of us digging into our newly made picnic. Shoo! Wait, what? Shoe? I don't... Hold up. Shoe? I don't know what that's supposed to say. I said it as I chewed into a sandwich. Chewed into a sandwich. That's an interesting sentence. This doesn't taste as good as Natsuki's home cooking, but because you coated it, silly. The woods, huh? I finished chewing. Yuri nodded as she leaned back on her hands, her eyes closed. It's quiet out here, and people don't bother me. She opened her eyes suddenly. Not that I mind you three, it's just quiet. Natsuki gently punched her arm, sorry. Yeah, I know you like us. You don't gotta remind us. Yuri blushed slightly. Well, I'm just trying to be nice without sounding rude, unlike you. She giggled as Natsuki became flustered. Well, I think it's nice that we can all be out here together without any real trouble or worry for once. Monica commented to the side as she leaned back as well, a smile on her face. Thank you for doing this without complaining, by the way. I'm sorry I forgot to get food thrown earlier. Thrown? Yeah. Oh, together. I thought I said earlier. This is part of me being tired in the mornings. I don't know what the crap I'm saying. Natsuki looked at her with a small frown. It's my job to make sure the cooking is done, isn't it? So I'll take the blame for that. I frowned as well. But it's my house, and you're my guest, so... Natsuki looked at me along with Yuri and Monica. I quieted down quickly. Sheesh, I guess I can't be blamed at all. I guess it's partially all of our faults. Then, oh well. Natsuki leaned back, laying on the grass as the sun shined brightly. All of our faults? I ventured into my thoughts. I don't feel so depressed as I feel regretful. Pained? Motorcycles again. Goes back to my point. If you have to speed up through an intersection on a motorcycle, you shouldn't be driving a motorcycle. You're not cool for making yourself sound louder. I continued to question my thoughts as Monica stood up stretching. Alright everyone, I think it's time we tried something new, both from my forgetfulness and out of curiosity. She stuck her finger out and I watched her carefully, taking in her every move. Ever move? Oh, every move. Okay, I thought I read it as ever. I thought they forgot the Y, but they didn't. I'm just reading as if I'm freaking half asleep. I'm sorry. She's so graceful. The queasy feeling in my stomach came up again as I watched her. I had felt it before, even this morning. She's a really good leader. We're gonna try some improv, making poetry without writing. That's a bad idea in a nutshell. Describing our surroundings and our feelings in the moment. I felt my stomach lurch at that. Now, of all times. I sighed as I leaned my head back, trying to think of what, without including my nervousness. Nervousness? I frowned a little. I shouldn't be nervous. Why am I nervous? It's just Monica. No, you're not supposed to do that. Just Monica. You're not supposed to do that. I get it. It's supposed to be part of the original game. But no. I smiled. It really is just Monica. No, I don't need to be nervous. This is that's not okay. Oh, hey, look at that. We got the normal DDLC music. Who wants to go? Oh, do I get to choose this time? I get to choose. I find this has been like in the waiting for so long. I've always asked like who do I get to choose, but then Monica chooses for me. So now, as Monica, I get to choose who gets to go. Who wants to go first? Well, since it was Monica's idea, I think she should set a good example, and I think she's gonna go first at this really awful idea she has. Nobody? Alright then, I'll go first. Here's to my perfect speech. Oh, you freaking narcissist. I tried to sound confident, knowing they probably all had high nerves, since this was, well, the first time we'd ever done anything like this. Good luck, Monica. Sayori said it with a smile, my heart feeling warm. Thank you, I'll try. I knew exactly what I was going to open with. I'll call this one The Heart of the Woods. To see without seeing. To hear without hearing. To believe without heart. This is actually pretty good for being, is it trust? Okay, I didn't get to read, I'm sorry. To fight for nothing. I was so, thinking about what I was trying to say, but I forgot it. To die for something. To love not. But as I was saying, this is pretty good for to hate all. For coming up on the fly. A torture. I don't know why it took me so long to figure out what I was trying to say. Hidden away in the trees. Living without life. And they're all just sad. Surviving without hardship. Seeing innocence. And wanting more. The heart of the woods. The heart of us all. I finished speaking, the silence in the clearing only interruption by the quiet intake of my breath. Monica. I looked down. Sayori was looking up at me with a happy smile, her eyes glistening a little. That was beautiful. I'm impressed that you came up with that from just nothing. Yuri said it softly. She seemed enamored as well. Sheesh, trying to show off? Natsuki said it with a scoff. She was smiling, but she wasn't looking at me. Thank you, I tried. They all smiled as I sat back down. And now I get to choose the next one, yay! I think Yuri should go next. At this point, there's no real reason as to why. I'm just choosing people who I think should go next. I believe I can go now. I stood up, gazing at the sky. I smiled blissfully. Thank you for letting me mull this over some more. I really needed it. I spoke softly to start. This one I think could be aptly named Horizons. The deep blue horizon remains a forever mystery to me. Its endless sea and its endless waves bringing forth not one answer, but an endless mass of questions. But I do not find these questions scary, nor do I find them impossible to think about. They bring me peace of mind. They bring me a little bit of hope in those long blue horizons. The clouds act as ships for dreams and curiosity, bringing little fluffy thoughts and wonderments to us all. I just noticed something about that poem. I pause. And I'll talk to you about it afterwards. Awaiting for a better opportunity to express myself. No one moment has gone by without regret of my choice. I should not have pierced the wood of the long-gone trees. Instead, I should have remained clear. Like the deep blue horizon of the ocean or the bright blue sky. But I found peace in something new in that horizon. I found it with you. Now, the thing about that, I swear to God, there's like parts of the sentence in that poem which kind of corresponded to all three of the other girls. Like blue would be Sayori, and like I know she used a few Natsuki words. I couldn't tell of any Monica words, but I'm almost certain that there was a little bit of every one of them in that poem. I finished speaking, my hand extended outwards, towards the three of them. Tree? I felt my shock rise up as I pulled it back. I looked at it confused. I don't know why I was... Natsuki stood up and put a hand on my shoulder. She gazed at me for a moment before letting go. Sorry, I wanted to make sure you were still yourself was all. She was still staring at me. She seemed confused. That was... Sayori trailed off, looking at the ground. Yuri, I didn't realize that was still causing you turmoil. Monica spoke quietly. But I'm glad you're now finding peace with it. She smiled at me. I felt my worry evaporate as I smiled weakly back. Yes, I am finding peace. I glanced at Natsuki. She was still looking confused as she sat back down. I joined her with a soft giggle. Did I really do that well? Natsuki nodded without looking at me, the others laughing. I think you broke her. Sayori smiled brightly as we laughed a bit louder, Natsuki still seeming confused. Alright, Natsuki. Alright, I got this. I stood up and nodded to myself as I looked at them, the three of them watching me carefully. Hey, don't stare at me! Monica raised an eyebrow. Here I thought that interaction was from the code, not you. I opened my mouth to respond before letting out a proper humph. Yeah, it's the code. I'm just messing with you. I tried to play it off cool, though it was obvious that none of them believed it for a second. I don't believe it either. This one was called Breakthrough. Foliage left unsettled. A ray breaking through. The sun forcing its way. Even through the most dense of leaves. Is that talking about MC? The sun shining. Or maybe is it Monica? I don't know. The clouds floating. I don't know what any of these... I'm not a good literature writer, so I don't know what any of this really means sometimes. The wind blowing. And the club hoping. Because that's what we do. Is hope for better. I smirked as I looked at them. They were all looking at me wide-eyed. That's really, Yuri trailed off as she went into thought. Cute poem? I glared at her as she looked back at me with a smile. Hope-filled, wonderful message presented in your simplistic yet forceful way. I prepared myself to tease her for not having a good explanation, but my only response was to have my face turn red. Thank you. I said it loudly as they all looked a bit surprised. Thank you? What happened to Natsuki? Sayori poked at me. I jumped away laughing. I'm right here. Monica smiled as she watched us. She seemed pleased. Hey, woo! Didn't think I would do something like that, huh? Monica shook her head, but Yuri was surprisingly nodded in response. Wait, really? I looked at Yuri curiously. Well, obviously, you've improved immensely over this week, although you were already good. I put a hand to my chin and sat down next to her, looking at her. Keep telling me how good I am, then clearly I'm the best. I smirked as she looked at me. In your dreams, Natsuki. She smiled as the others laughed. Alright, Sayori, your turn. Don't be nervous now. Alright, I guess it's my turn. I stood up, stretching out a little bit as I gazed at the tree line. Wow, I cannot read, I'm sorry. Hope you guys like this. I breathed in deeply. I call this one Trees of Life. The gentle winds on my face. Waking me up slowly, wow. They smile at me. Like the sun or the birds. They flutter in and out. A slow. Steady. This is taking forever. Rhythm. I don't like how short or how long it takes for the next one. Forever keeping the sun out. The rain clouds far away. The doubts far gone. The balance. Met without pain. Wow, I cannot read today, I'm sorry. The living world. Continues to grow brighter. I trailed off after I finished speaking, my smile fading as I let out a quiet sigh of relief. That wasn't too bad. I looked down at everyone. They were all watching me enamored. Bittersweet, but hopeful. Yuri said it softly. I smiled sheepishly in response. Yeah-huh? It's really the best way for me to talk about the feelings in my stomach. Natsuki raised an eyebrow. In your stomach? So you really were nervous. She seemed to go into thought. That makes me feel a little better about myself. Oh, that's kind of mean. I laughed a little as I sat down, the calm breeze taking over again. That was really well said, Sayori. I looked at Monica, a smile on my face. Thanks, Monica. Well, that was a far different experience than I was expecting. Yuri commented quietly as the spoken words left a pleasant feeling in the air. It was certainly quicker than normal. Natsuki piped up as the now mostly empty picnic basket, remained, Sayori digging into it. There's no food left either, someone ate all the cookies. Gee, I wonder who that was. I glanced over at the empty plate near her. Yeah, must have been some thief named Sayori. Natsuki chuckled as Sayori covered her mouth. I've never stolen anything. You're just, assuming. Sayori pouted as she brought her hand down. Yuri tried to conceal her giggling, but to no avail. I think we can just assume it was you, since you have an undying passion for food. Sayori looked away from me, her mild annoyance obvious. I guess so. When Sayori looked away, I didn't expect her to look up. But she did, and I followed her gaze, a small amount of surprise forming on my face. How had nobody noticed the sky becoming considerably darker? Wow, we really were out here all that long? I said it quietly as Yuri looked up as well. I guess so. It looks like the sun is beginning to go down. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to sleep out here. She looked at me, and a slight tremor of fear in her eyes. Plus, I need the extra sleep, especially with tomorrow coming up. Oh, that's right, because she's sharing with MC. Especially with tomorrow coming up. I'll have to be with him all day. The plans for tomorrow weighed down on me as I stood up. Yeah, we should probably head back before anything goes wrong, or we end up being late. I looked at the others as they had joined me. Wow, I cannot read. With a quick few lines of code, our small picnic area was dissipated into the air. Sayori smiled happily. We should do this more often, going out to new and exciting places without worry. Natsuki looked smug. Sure, but only if we can go home afterwards. I'd hate to take a long vacation into nothingness. We agreed on that point as we all began to make our way out of the clearing and into the woods. Following along the footpress trail, we slowly made our way out from the darkening woods. It's getting kind of scary in there, Sayori murmured as she got near me again, once again pressing on my side. Yeah, it is, isn't it? I laughed nervously at the light behind us slowly setting as we made our way down the road. The glitches in the house seemed less obvious at night. Have you noticed that before, Monica? Yuri commented quietly as she came up to my other side. I looked over at the houses she was mentioning. I haven't, actually. That's very strange. Is the game more stable at night? Maybe you just never saw it like this before, since it wasn't a normal thing in the basic code, right? I nodded, remembering really only one scene that featured an amount of nighttime. Either way, there is much to be looked at here after everything. I admit, after thinking about it, I am very excited. Yuri said it softly. Honestly, me too. There's lots of stuff around here. There's lots of broken things to fix. Natsuki walked in front of us, her arms swinging by her sides. Yeah, huh? Plus, who knows what that stuff has already done? Wait, hold on. What stuff has already been done? Okay, I'm sorry. Sayori commented softly as she yawned. She looked much more tired now. We still have a few hours. But come tomorrow morning, we're going to have to get out of the place so the game can continue. I said it without breaking face, the others looking at me and nodding. So, it's just going to be you tomorrow morning, Sayori. Can you handle that? She smiled. Well, yeah, he isn't that hard to handle, plus it's like improv. But I know my lines already. I laughed a little at that. Yeah, just like improv. The tense silence took over as we thought about tomorrow. Yuri looked exceptionally worried as we made our way through the quiet street, approaching Sayori's house. Come tomorrow, things are going to start getting more and more stressful. Things have to stay near perfect up until Monday. Sayori split from me as I spoke and grabbed the door door for us. We all went inside and I closed it up. We can stay here, but we will need to hide or something. Natsuki said as she looked around. She seemed to be noting the side rooms. Bathrooms most likely, or something else. She seemed to be deep in thought as she walked away, looking around. I don't know about you two, but I'm going to get a shower before I get my rest. Hopefully it'll be enough to last me all day tomorrow. Yuri smiled at us as she walked off, waving a little before she disappeared into the bathroom downstairs. Monica? Sayori spoke up quietly as I looked at her. She seemed to look nervous. What's up? She looked up at the stairs, gesturing for me to follow as we went up to her room. I knew dark music was going to start happening, because when she's not smiling and she has to go to her room, that's not a good sign. Monica followed me upstairs to my room, the both of us quickly rising up the stairs. I closed the door behind us, my nose, and as soon as I did, she sat down, looking over me worriedly. Is something wrong? She asked quietly as I sat down next to her, looking at her. Not really. I'm just nervous. Afraid I'm going to screw up tomorrow. She seemed a little confused. That's a first from you. You've never really been worried about your interactions with them before. I swallowed once, the sour feeling in my gut rising back up full force. I'll be right back once again, guys. Sorry about that. That was just Joseph. He was texting me a few different little samples and stuff or something that we're gonna hopefully bring to you guys at some point soon. I have no other bigger information on that yet, but hey, keep your eyes peeled, because we have something planned. I swallowed once, the sour feeling in my gut rising back. God damn it, Joseph! I told him I was recording, he's like, oh, whoops. I swallowed once, the sour feeling in my gut rising back up full force. Well, it's really more about what I have to tell him. God damn it, Joseph! Well, it's really more about what I have to tell him tomorrow. Basically, what I just told you guys, he's saying, oh, sneak peek video. I'm like, yeah, exactly. What I have to tell him tomorrow. Her eyes widen a little. You don't want to talk about your Oh, that's right. Please don't say that. See, this is another reason why I think things are gonna be different tomorrow. Cause, literally, she's just not she doesn't want to explain it to MC. I interrupted her, her expression not proving my point. I didn't mean to do it, but I felt the need to. I'm feeling better-ish now, but I don't know. I trailed off. Do I really feel better? I don't know. It's okay, Siri, I understand. It's a sensitive topic to you. She looked away from me. I mean, you haven't spoken to any of us about it, and I'm sure you really want to. I laughed a little to her surprise. Well, I mean, I kinda have, but I haven't made it a topic. She nodded as she smiled somberly. I understand, I really do. It's hard to talk about your feelings. I looked down at my hands, trying to think of a way to play it off somewhat. I mean, it was hard for me to tell you that I don't really understand. I looked up at her. She was again looking away from me. Yuri being angry at me, you being mad. There really was a lot to deal with, and I just wasn't prepared. She quieted down. I know it's going to be hard, but please do this right, for us. She looked up at me, eyes filled with hope. I know you will anyways, but I promise after all this, we can have a nice long talk about it. A sour feeling drifted away, a little as she said this, the two of us sharing a smile. Plus, after he leaves and Yuri takes over, we can enjoy a little time to ourselves. She smiled smugly. Maybe we can beat Natsuki in that fighting game together. I laughed. There's no way, she's too good. Monica laughed as well. She can't take on both of us at once, I guarantee it. We quieted down and smiled at each other again. This is nice. I could get used to this. I felt something take over the sour feeling as the two of us looked at one another. Hey, Monica? She looked at me curiously. Yes? I leaned over and hugged her. Monica was responding almost immediately. We stayed like this for a few minutes, but it felt like an eternity to me. Neither of us had said a word the entire time, until Monica sat up more, breaking the hug. She trailed off as she looked at me. I should go shower. She finally found her words looking at me. She seemed to be in deep thought as she got up. Her silence left me speechless. I'll be back. She said it cheerfully as she disappeared out of my room. I laid back, looking up at my ceiling. Did I just think about... Is she giving in to that? Yuri, is this daytime? I think it's daytime now. We're gonna keep it here. We're gonna end it here. I think it's daytime now, so we're gonna save it there. A lot of things happened this episode. My God! First, I mean, just in the game and outside the game, like holy crap, my phone blows up. Freaking, I gotta get up a few times. And next thing you know, there's a lot of wacko things happening in the game. So, before it gets any more wacko and filled, before this becomes an hour long, which it's almost has been at this point, it's been over 50 minutes, I'm gonna leave it here. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you'd like to smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, I'd love to the channel. Guys, I got a Discord, come check me out outside YouTube, it'll be a fun time for all. Whoa! Hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did making. I'll see you guys in my next one. Goodbye!